6 News has been bringing you continuing coverage of the housing issues Lansing is facing. Today we spoke with Advent House, a government-funded program to help those living on the streets.
Officials there say the affordable housing shortage isn't just a problem, it's a crisis. Kyle Macon is here for you now with more on what's going on, Kyle.
At 4:58 a.m., a profound cold hangs heavy in the air, a precursor to the snow that has yet to fall. Inside a silent, parked car, its engine off to conserve precious fuel, a mother sits in the driver's seat. Her gaze drifts to the back, where her children sleep, bundled in coats folded into makeshift pillows. Their backpacks are meticulously stacked, forming a protective barrier, a stark reminder that their entire world must fit within these 4 doors. She repeatedly checks the time, not out of anticipation for an early work shift, but consumed by a silent, agonizing calculation. If they remain here, will their presence draw unwanted attention, perhaps a call to the authorities? If they try to move, will the fuel gauge drop to empty, stranding them? If she reaches out to a shelter once more, will there at last be space for them? And in that raw, quiet moment, that is the homelessness crisis most people rarely, if ever, truly witness. It isn't the familiar image one might expect. It isn't the fleeting scene scrolled past on a screen. This is a family striving desperately to maintain an illusion of normalcy, all while teetering on the precipice, one agonizing decision away from catastrophe. Welcome to U.S. Homeless Secrets. On this channel, we commit to sharing these hidden stories with clarity and deep respect. We deliberately avoid graphic imagery and exploitation, and we unequivocally do not endorse harassment. Our focus remains steadfast on human reality, public safety, and fostering solutions that uphold every individual's dignity. To safeguard identities, all names and distinguishing details have been altered. Some narrative moments are thoughtful composites, drawing from recurring patterns observed by outreach workers, public records, and extensive housing research. Today we're delving into a file that is frequently, and sometimes intentionally, misunderstood. Michigan's evolving homelessness crisis in 2025, and the critical insights it offers into just how swiftly a stable life can unravel into an urgent survival plan. Because beneath every statistic, there lies a foundational question. If the journey into homelessness doesn't typically commence on the sidewalk, why do our collective responses consistently begin only after people have already hit rock bottom? Part 1. The numbers are real, but they're still not the whole story. Let us begin with verifiable facts. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's official point in time, PIT, estimate for Michigan in 2024 identified 9,739 individuals experiencing homelessness on a single night. This count distinguished between 1,623 unsheltered individuals and 8,116 who found shelter. HUD user. This is the figure that often sparks debate. However, a deeper understanding reveals an even more crucial point. HUD's own definitions explicitly state that the PIT count does not encompass individuals who are temporarily residing with family or friends, a common situation often termed couch surfing or doubled up, even when such arrangements are inherently precarious and unstable. HUD user. Therefore, when you encounter a single number, it is vital to recognize the broader, often invisible, reality it conceals. The teenager finding temporary refuge on an aunt's couch until a landlord inevitably raises a complaint. The father navigating a rotation of friends' basements, never truly settling. The family parked overnight, enduring discomfort to avoid the prohibitive cost of yet another motel bill. The older adult forced to choose between paying rent and purchasing essential medication in the same month. These individuals may not register in the official pit count, but their lives are undeniably engulfed by the crisis. And Michigan's situation is far from unique in this structural omission. HUD clarifies that the pit count serves as a single-night snapshot, typically conducted within the last 10 days of January. Its specific design is to measure sheltered and unsheltered homelessness according to HUD's strict definitions, not to encompass every housing emergency Americans confront. HUD user. Consequently, fixating solely on the pit number risks overlooking the profound, underlying pressures that continue to build. For the most perilous phase of homelessness isn't merely the act of being outdoors. It is the critical period leading up to it, when a family valiantly attempts to hold together a life that is already imperceptibly slipping away. Part 2. Winter doesn't create homelessness, IT reveals it. As winter invariably returns, so too does a persistent misconception. Many speak as if cold weather itself causes homelessness. This is fundamentally untrue. Winter acts not as a creator, but as a flashlight. It illuminates the instabilities that were already present, just hidden beneath the surface. In the milder months of fall, an individual can often navigate a housing crisis through various survival tactics. Sleeping inside a car with the windows strategically cracked for air, securing a few nights' rest in a friend's garage, temporarily couch surfing with an acquaintance who just needs a little more time before the arrangement ends, riding late buses and early trains, constantly moving to minimize exposure to the outdoors. But winter fundamentally alters the physics of survival. The biting cold accelerates choices, making improvisation exponentially more dangerous. A damp blanket rapidly transforms from discomfort into a life-threatening risk. A dead phone ceases to be an inconvenience and becomes a full-blown crisis, severing vital lifelines. A missed ride shifts from a minor setback to a perilous exposure. And this is precisely where systemic failures become glaringly apparent. Most social services are structured around the assumption that people can consistently keep appointments, manage complex paperwork, and adhere to fixed schedules. Yet homelessness systematically dismantles all three of these fundamental pillars. Because the moment stable sleep is lost, a cascading collapse of every other aspect of life follows. Maintaining employment becomes impossible without adequate rest. Completing essential forms is thwarted by the absence of safe storage for documents, or the documents themselves. The ability to just call around for help vanishes when the phone battery is dead, and the only secure place to recharge it is a public library that closes long before nightfall. This is the true mechanism by which homelessness becomes a devastating chain reaction. It is not born of laziness. It is not the result of bad choices. It is a merciless chain reaction, relentlessly accelerated by the unforgiving cold. Part 3. Children and Families, the crisis that stays quiet on purpose. There exists a compelling reason why family homelessness frequently remains out of sight. Families actively endeavor to conceal it, because visibility for them can carry an unbearable cost, the loss of everything. A parent may conscientiously avoid a traditional shelter setting driven by profound fears. That their child will be exposed to an uncontrollable, chaotic environment. That their precious privacy will be irrevocably compromised. That they might be forcibly separated from their partner. That they will face undue judgment from schools, potential employers, or even their own relatives. That they will be prematurely labeled and stigmatized long before receiving any genuine help. So, they improvise with extraordinary resilience. A friend's couch offers a temporary reprieve for a couple of weeks. A cousin's floor provides tenuous stability for 10 days. A motel room drains an entire paycheck for a single night or two. The family car becomes their only refuge, and all other funds are exhausted. Yet, despite this harrowing reality, the child still presents at school the very next morning. This is precisely why many children experiencing housing instability do not overtly look homeless. Instead, they often appear profoundly tired. They seem unusually distracted. They carry themselves with the unspoken burden of something heavy, a weight that remains tragically invisible to everyone else. The emotional toll is devastating precisely because it is so silent. A child might diligently complete their homework in the comforting warmth of a classroom, and yet have absolutely no idea where they will lay their head that very night. And when people glibly suggest, why don't they just go somewhere else? They tragically overlook the immense cost of somewhere else. The act of moving demands sufficient money, reliable transportation, secure, stable employment, funds for deposits, credible references, ample time to plan and execute, and a baseline level of calm that homelessness systematically destroys. This underscores why prevention is far more critical than most people fully comprehend. Because once a child begins living out of bags, even if only for a temporary period, the task of rebuilding stability becomes exponentially more difficult. This isn't due to a lack of effort or determination from the family. It is because the system itself is structured like a staircase, and we consistently intervene only after families have already suffered a devastating fall from it. Part 4. Pod City and the new fight over what counts as help. In Lansing, public attention recently converged on a controversial yet innovative concept, a pod-style shelter village, comprising small, self-contained sleeping units designed to swiftly bring individuals indoors. This initiative garnered headlines primarily because it conveyed a clear sense of immediate action, and it forces America to confront a pressing question it consistently attempts to evade. Are we genuinely constructing pathways that lead back to a normal, sustainable life, or are we merely building aesthetically improved versions of emergency housing? The Associated Press provided extensive coverage of Lansing's pod approach in the ensuing debate. Supporters lauded it as an indispensable response to urgent need, while critics contended it was both excessively costly and not a scalable substitute for enduring, long-term housing solutions. Homeless Action Network of Detroit. Here is an unvarnished perspective. A pod facility can undeniably serve as a crucial rescue intervention. Yet it can also, by its very nature, impose a significant limitation. Because a pod, standing in isolation, is unequivocally not a home. It functions as an emergency floor, designed to sustain an individual's life just long enough for them to reach the critical next step. And that next step is precisely where the true depth of the crisis resides. If there is no seamlessly integrated, rapid pathway from a pod to professional case management to essential health care to secure housing placement to comprehensive follow-up support, then a pod village risks devolving into a perpetual holding pattern. It becomes a place where the general public experiences a sense of relief simply because people are less visible, but the individual's life remains tragically stalled. This is precisely why one cannot gauge the efficacy of homelessness response efforts by merely assessing the tidiness of a city block. True measurement lies in tangible outcomes. Were individuals successfully stabilized? Did they receive necessary treatment and care? Were they successfully housed? Did they manage to stay housed? If the system cannot unequivocally answer these fundamental questions, then it is not genuinely solving homelessness. It is merely rearranging it. Part 5. Why People Fall, the Brutal Math That Breaks a Life. Homelessness is frequently characterized as a personal failing. However, the empirical data suggests it behaves more like a systemic market failure. Consider this brutal economic equation. When housing rents escalate at a pace far exceeding wage growth, the financial margin for error completely vanishes. And once that margin disappears, a single unexpected event can rapidly metastasize into an unmitigated catastrophe. A sudden layoff from employment, a significant reduction in work hours, an unavoidable medical bill, an essential car repair. the emotional and financial fallout of a breakup, a landlord's decision to sell the property, even a seemingly minor mistake that suddenly incurs significant, unexpected costs. And once an individual becomes homeless, the associated costs compound exponentially. One is forced to pay a premium for nearly everything, precisely because one possesses so little control. The inability to store food safely translates into spending more per meal on immediate consumption. The constant lack of stable rest inevitably leads to a decline in overall health. The inability to keep vital documents secure means losing access to critical services and benefits. The absence of peace and security prevents recovery, causing trauma to accumulate layer upon layer. Then, the public typically observes only the final stage, an individual sleeping in a location deemed inappropriate or unsafe. And tragically, they assume that this visible manifestation was the beginning of the problem. It was not. That visible struggle was, in fact, the culmination of a protracted and devastating collapse. HUD's definitions further illuminate a crucial point. Unsheltered homelessness encompasses individuals residing in various spaces, including cars, public parks, abandoned buildings, and transit stations. HUD user. Therefore, when you encounter someone in one of these precarious environments, you are often witnessing the final, desperate step after every conceivable alternative has been exhausted and failed. When an entire state registers thousands of people in this ultimate stage, the underlying question ceases to be an individual predicament. It unequivocally becomes a structural failing. Part 6. What works? Solutions that protect dignity and public space. Let us state this with absolute clarity. It is entirely justifiable for people to desire safe, accessible, and usable public spaces. A community simply cannot function effectively if its sidewalks are perpetually transformed into de facto bedrooms. However, the sustainable path to restoring public space is not through endless displacement. It is fundamentally through the restoration of human stability. What truly works is not the implementation of one miraculous program. It is an interconnected chain of interventions, because the problem itself is a complex chain of causes and effects. 1. Prevention that catches the fall early. This is precisely where the most significant victories can be achieved. Providing short-term rental assistance to avert eviction. Implementing eviction diversion and mediation programs. Offering crucial help in replacing lost or stolen identification documents. Guiding individuals through complex benefits navigation. Ensuring hospital discharge planning that does not cruelly send vulnerable individuals into the cold. Prevention is not a soft approach. It is the most cost-effective, swiftest method to interrupt the cycle of instability before homelessness becomes chronic. 2. Shelter that people can realistically use. A designated bed loses its utility if the shelter environment is intolerable or inaccessible. Shelter becomes genuinely effective when it incorporates secure storage for personal belongings, trauma-aware spaces designed to promote healing and safety, options for couples to remain together whenever feasible, clear, actionable pathways leading directly to permanent housing placement, transparent, humane rules that safeguard both residents and staff. 3. Low-barrier stabilization for people in crisis. For individuals grappling with severe mental illness, profound untreated trauma, or active addiction, the initial crucial step is almost always stabilization. Not punitive measures, not abandonment. Stabilization, to enable them to achieve enough clarity of thought to accept and engage with the subsequent steps toward recovery. 4. Supportive housing with services. For those with complex and high needs, merely providing a set of keys to an apartment is often insufficient. Supportive housing intentionally links stable housing with essential care, dedicated case management, accessible health services, comprehensive behavioral health support, ongoing follow-up to ensure sustained well-being. This is not a system of dependency. This is a strategic investment in building foundational stability until genuine independence becomes a viable reality once again. 5. Real data and real accountability. The public rightfully demands transparency. The precise number of individuals successfully moved into housing. How many of those individuals successfully stayed housed over time? The duration of time it took to achieve these placements. The specific barriers that caused delays in housing placements. which programs demonstrated effectiveness in reducing repeat homelessness. Because the sheer volume of spending does not equate to positive outcomes, and verifiable outcomes are the only currency that can genuinely rebuild trust. Outro. The question Michigan is asking all of US. When this video concludes, Michigan will still be enveloped in cold tonight. A family will still be performing that silent, agonizing math in a parked car. An individual will still be striving to keep their invaluable documents dry and safe. A teenager will still be drawing out the last precious hours inside a warm building, uncertain of where they will find refuge next. And the most challenging truth confronting us is this. Homelessness does not begin when someone is forced to lie down outside. It begins when a society allows the vital margin of safety to disappear, and then feigns surprise when its most vulnerable members inevitably fall. Michigan's 2024 PIT estimate identified 9,739 individuals experiencing homelessness statewide on a single night. HUD user. And HUD itself explicitly states that numerous unstable living situations, such as doubled-up couch surfing, are not encompassed within that figure. HUD user. So the fundamental question is not whether the crisis is real. The crucial question is what we as a society are willing to do before people become visibly homeless. Because a city or an entire state can persist year after year in merely reacting to the same recurring emergencies. Or it can proactively construct comprehensive systems designed to prevent those emergencies from becoming someone's permanent reality. That choice is not merely a political calculation. It is a profound moral imperative. What you can undertake this week, something tangible, not merely symbolic. Investigate and actively support the outreach organizations operating in your local area. Champion programs that effectively connect individuals to vital treatment and clear housing pathways. Advocate for the establishment of specialized crisis response teams, ensuring that law enforcement officers are not unfairly burdened with acting primary mental health system. Press for increased prevention funding, allocating resources to rental assistance, eviction diversion initiatives, and comprehensive discharge planning. And crucially, when you encounter someone struggling, refuse to allow yourself to dehumanize them. You are not obligated to place yourself in danger. You are not expected to solve every problem, but you can steadfastly refuse to become numb to their plight. Now, I eagerly await your perspective. From where in the world are you watching this? And what does your specific community most urgently require right now? Is it more accessible housing, enhanced treatment options, stronger preventative measures, or superior emergency shelter solutions? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's maintain an atmosphere of respect and humanity. This is US Homeless Secrets. Thank you for watching. And always remember, the next untold story is already unfolding tonight.